Gundam.tk presents V-Dash Gundam. Hello everyone, and welcome to a review of V-Dash Gundam. This is a high-grade kit, which sounds a little bit strange because it's a 1/100th size, which I'll talk about in a minute, and it's from the anime Victory Gundam. And it's an old model made in 1993, and of course it's made by Bandai. Now in 1993 there were no master grades yet, so this being a 1/100th model, being called high grade, that was actually Bandai's top of the line series at the time. Now how does it stack up to today's master grades? That we can see. So what do you get with this kit? Well, you get the regular V Gundam, and in addition you also get these shoulder mounted weapons, which add a lot more size to it. And these came from around episode 20 in the cartoon. Their story, and if you take a look at the review of Force Impulse Gundam, you'll see a lot of similarities. This has a top fighter, a leg fighter, and because this one does have the dash pack attached, you can hook that up to the core fighter and have an additional vehicle. It also comes with a long beam weapon, and in addition to the flying parts, one thing that's pretty cool about this is that in the cartoon, this is a mass-produced mobile suit. It's not a unique super prototype like Amuro's or most others. And so the other members of the show, they would fly one that had a modified head antenna. And so that sort of designates which one's the hero and which one's the grunt suit. So it gives you the option of making this into the grunt suit. One of the first differences you'll see is with the manual. Instead of having a nice action cover shots, you get a ton of information, including a painting guide. A lot of artwork inside here, story, more line art, and then finally the directions. Now, something compared to the newer models, these ones are nowhere near as clear as if you pick up a later master grade. But they do well by giving you a lot of art that doesn't actually help you put the model together or transform it. Finally at the back you get a parts list, and in the back it tries to explain the gimmicks, but like I said, there's a lot of stuff that was left a little bit unclear with this, so I certainly wouldn't recommend this if this was your first Gundam model. I'd try something a lot newer. When it's all complete, you'd see that there are not a lot of pieces and plates to this. The A has some clear parts for the cockpits, blue, white, and red, and otherwise it only goes up to E, and so on the fifth plate it's all pink clear parts. Something very unique, well, this is F, it's not a polycap plate, but the polycaps are yellow, which look pretty ugly when it's put all together. Finally, what makes this different from the regular V Gundam, this is the V-Dash Gundam, is that you get plates G1, G2, and G3, and that gives you the extra parts for the back. Now you'll say, hey, all the parts aren't put in, but there's a reason for that. So something I mentioned at the beginning as being cool is that you can make this sort of grunt version of the suit by having a different head on it. Well, the only problem is that they don't give you enough parts, especially just you're missing 2 parts, to actually make both heads. So when you're putting it together, you have to choose, do you want to make the main V Gundam head or the grunt head? If you do make the grunt head, it's all white, and all of these leftover stickers are all from that. So of course I chose to go with the main head, but that was a pretty cheap move, Bandai. You could have put in 2 more parts, and you could build both heads and then interchange them as you please. So when you put it all together, these are the parts that you'll end up with. The torso is all one piece, 2 big legs, 2 big arms, shoulders are already pre-attached. You get the dash pack, a sort of waving beam sword that looks pretty lame, a beam shield, which was fairly unique for Gundam at the time, back in the early 90s, regular beam rifle, and you get a core fighter, which actually looks pretty good. Let's take a look at the parts. Starting with the arms, I think the first thing I noticed was the bright yellow polycaps. I had to do a lot of lining on this to try to make it look better, and I threw some marker in there, which, let this be a warning, paint things before you snap it together, otherwise if you use markers the ink will run. So that was a mistake on my part. Otherwise, the elbow can move about this much, and it can rotate. The hands do not stack up to any new master grades nowadays, and the elbow piece detaches, which will come into play later. Same thing with the legs, yellow polycaps. The legs bend about, this much, which is not very much. So obviously posability is going to be extremely limited. Again, this is lined pretty heavily with a gray marker. The foot's alright. It can have a little bit, the toes can move, and it has a pretty good ball joint, so you can move it side to side. But real disappointment with what you can do with that, although it does bend uniquely, which will come into play again later when we're transforming it. Now the torso is where you can see something that again is a huge difference from modern Gundams. If you look at these white waist armor parts, there's blue on the bottom, and that blue is actually pre-painted on the sprue. So when you cut the piece off the sprue, it's already blue and white. I added some lining in there, which looks okay from a distance, but when you zoom right in, you can see that it doesn't look as sharp. A lot of things were missing, like this blue part, I had to cut the seal, or the sticker sheet, just to add that. And again, I did some lining, which doesn't look great, but it looks better than it did because the white and the blue did run together a little bit. Now, on the back, you have the back skirt, which you can reveal a jet here, and you can open up these to reveal another jet on both sides, and you can pop up a tail when you're making this. This will be part of the transformation. But the thing that drives me crazy about this is if you look at the neck part, yeah, you want it to transform, but usually you're going to have it in Gundam mode. And when it's in Gundam mode, you don't want the head to be falling in. And it often does. So you're supposed to be able to slide it up, but it's only in the back that you can slide it up. So even when you pull it all the way up, you may be looking on your shelf and bang, the head of your Gundam has fallen down. Now, taking a look at the weapons from best to worst, this is the beam rifle, fat 2 pieces, not much to it. If you line it, it doesn't look too bad. However, it goes downhill from there. The beam saber is 1 pink piece, including the handle, which doesn't look as good as anything modern that'll at least have a pink that you can attach to the white part. This beam saber, I think it looks pretty ridiculous. I will never use it. The shield is alright, but the problem is that the attachment mechanism is horrible, so you're never actually going to be able to put it on his arm and achieve any kind of decent pose with that. And my biggest complaint is this is a unique part of the weapon for the V-Dash Gundam. And when you look on the box, it's not bad. They show things that the back part is white and this part is brown. Well, of course, when they give you the plastic parts out of the box, it's reversed. And in general, it looks pretty crappy. These just spring around. There's really nothing to it. The grips are useless, and again, something that I will never use for posing. So this is the Dash weapon pack, which the Gundam added in the cartoon. For some more long-distance firepower. It was mostly running melee at the beginning. As simple as this is just an open hole and you stick that onto the back and it stays on remarkably well. My only complaint is that you can probably see that these are all stickers here. And just like with any good stickers, they don't cover perfectly and they're going to peel up anyway. Now, I added some paint on here, which you can probably see may have made things look worse, but from a distance, I think the blue helps it stand out a little bit. So, is it worth buying the V-Dash Gundam over the regular V Gundam? I think when we put it together, you might see that the answer is yes. So finally for the parts, we have the head on a stick. And actually, despite this being from '93, I don't think this is too bad. I had to put some black in the ears, and otherwise you use stickers for the ears and the main camera. This is a pretty unique Gundam design in the fact that it has the yellow V antenna, doesn't have a brooch or something sealing it on the front, but it still looks alright. Now, I already complained about the fact that you can't build both heads, and that's something that is still a big knock for me against this model. But overall, I think the head looks okay. And don't forget to see reviews of 00 Gundam, Master Grade Force Impulse, Master Grade Freedom, and Speed Grade Zeta Gundam, and lots of other slideshow videos, check out www.gundam.tk.